Welcome. Today we are looking at English paper 2, questions and answers, comprehension, 20 marks. Read the passage below and answer the questions that follow. Writing skills are an important part of communication. Good writing skills allow you to communicate your message with clarity and ease to a far larger audience than through face-to-face or telephone conversations. You might be called upon to write a report, plan or strategy at work, write a grant application or press release within a volunteering role, or you may fancy communicating your ideas online via a blog. And, of course, a well-written CV or resume with no spellings or grammatical mistakes is essential if you want a new job. Today, when anyone can be their own publisher, we see more and more examples of poor writing skills, both in print and on the web. Poor writing skills create first impressions, and many readers will have an immediate negative reaction if they spot a spelling or grammatical mistake. As just one example, a spelling mistake on a commercial web page may cause potential customers to doubt the credibility of the web and the organization. Correct grammar, punctuation, and spelling are key in written communication. The reader will form an opinion of you, the author, based on both the content and presentation, and errors are likely to lead them to form a negative impression. If you are unconvinced about the importance of accurate writing, think of the clues we use to identify spam emails, phishing, websites, and counterfeit products, poor grammar and spelling. Similarly, some employers state publicly that any CV or resume containing spelling or grammatical mistakes will be rejected immediately. With the BBC News article quotes research that calculates spelling mistake cost online businesses millions in lost sales. Checking for poor writing and spelling mistakes should be seen as courtesy to your readers, since it can take them much longer to understand the messages in your writing if they have to think and reread text to decipher these. All written communications should therefore be reread before spending to print or hitting the send button in the case of emails, as it is likely that there will be errors. Do not assume that spelling and grammar checkers will identify all mistakes, as many incorrect words can indeed be spelled correctly. For example, when there is used instead of there, or principle instead of principal, or entire words may be missing. If at all possible, take a break before reading and checking your writing, as you are more likely to notice problems when you read it fresh. Even if you know spelling and grammar rules, you should still double check your work, or even better, have it proofread by somebody else. Our brains work faster than our fingers can type the accidental typographical errors, that is typo, inevitable creeping. The good news is that writing is a skill which can be learned like any other. One trick for checking and improving your work is to read it aloud. Reading text forces you to slow down, and you may pick up problems with the flow that your eye would otherwise skip over. Reading text forces you to slow down, and you may pick up problems with the flow that your eye would otherwise skip over. As well as grammar, spelling, and punctuation, it is important to remember your audience. Always write with your audience in mind, and it can also help to bear in mind the medium in which you plan to publish. This knowledge will help you decide whether you need to write in a formal style or a more informal one, and will also help you to decide on a suitable structure. Questions. Why are good writing skills important? 3 marks. They allow you to communicate your message with clarity and ease to a far larger audience than through face-to-face or telephone answer. Question 2. What effect does poor writing skills have? 2 marks. Creates poor first impression and immediate negative reaction if they spoil a spelling or grammatical mistake. In a paragraph of not more than 50 words, summarize the steps involved in good writing. 5 marks. Summary of the steps involved in a good writing. Check for poor writing and spelling mistakes. Read all written communications. Do not assume that spelling and grammar checkers will identify mistakes. Even if you know spelling and grammar rules, double check your work or have it proofread by somebody else, as many incorrect words can indeed be spelled correctly. Explain the irony in paragraph 3. The irony is today, in the first century, it is expected that literacy levels have risen and people know how to write well. Instead, more and more examples of poor writing skills both in print and on the web are seen. Question 5. The good news is that writing is a skill which can be learned like any other. Rewrite beginning with participle, 1 mark. So writing is a skill which can be learned like any other. This is a good news. Mention 4 things apart from grammar, spelling, and punctuation that the writer advocates we should remember when writing. We should remember the audience, the medium, that formal or informal style, and then we should remember the structure. Explain the meaning of the following expressions as they are used in the passage. Counterfeit products, we have fake materials. Decipher, it's what? Make out. Phishing is what? Hacking. Typographical error is typing mistakes. Then we go to the excerpt, 25 marks. Read the following excerpt and answer the questions that follow. First, there was a loud crash. Some moving object had hit another moving object. A trailer hooked to a truck negotiating a turn at a roundabout had broken free, spun outward, and ended up on top of a minibus in an adjacent lane. The drivers of both vehicles had then run away. They had done so to avoid mob justice. Now the passengers in the unlucky minibus were struggling to get out, except for one, a woman trapped in a seat. A man had seen her on his way out. He tried to go back in and get her out, but all doors had jammed. He pulled a mobile phone out of the pocket and called the mystical number 999 to report distress and request help. The hour was 10 in the morning. Onlookers starting arriving. First, they only gawked, fascinated by the spectacle of a trailer sitting on top of a minibus. Goodness, how did it get there? Later, the attention moved down to a woman trapped inside the minibus. Look, said one onlooker. A beautiful girl was trapped in her seat. She was still conscious. She is fine, then, said another onlooker. Come on, said the first onlooker. A heavy trailer is sitting on our minibus. So how can she be fine? When the onlookers became a crowd, they tried to push the trailer off the minibus. They failed. Then a big van appeared. Questions. Put this exempt in an immediate context. 4 marks. This before, after C.R.E drops a bombshell on him, Professor Kimani engages in interior monologue. Kimani's vehicle is again down and the daughter cannot get a ride as anticipated. This angers C.R.E, who hints to Kimani about the reason behind the inability to get greener pasture as a newborn. After, the onlookers continue to contemplate a better alternative to save Tony. Attempts to pull off the trailer from the time bus fail. A male giant comes out of nowhere to help, but the minibus collapses under the weight of the trailer. B. Give the character traits of the following. The man is brave. He tries to get Tony out of the bus, but when everyone else is struggling to save themselves. What about the onlookers? The onlookers are afraid. We are told every time the trailer fell back down on the minibus, the onlookers closed their eyes in fear. The drivers, thoughtful, they ran away to avoid mob justice. The drivers know the mob would not have spared them for their recklessness. From elsewhere in the novel, how does conflict arise between Kimani and Asiya over the death of their daughter? Asiya blames Kimani for the death of Tony. Before Tony embarks on the journey that leads to her death, she asks the father whether she can use her father's car for her journey. However, Kimani says the car is down once again. This stirs anger in Asiya, who erupts, comparing her husband to newborn, who had left the teaching profession to join, and now owns 4 vehicles. On this premise, Asiya bases her allegation on Kimani's failure to seek greener pastures to Tony's death. How is the dialogue significant in the exempt? It brings out the minor characters' contribution to driving forward the tension in the novel. The onlookers question one another regarding what needs to be done to save Tony from the misfortune. Also squeezing her breath out, a heavy trailer sits on her minibus. So how can she be fine? The onlookers contemplate a way out of the situation. Identify and explain a stylistic device used in the extract. We have personification. In the conversation of the onlookers sitting on a minibus. So how can she be fine? This makes the intimate object trailer take up life and become realistic, making sense to a mind. A sense of realism. The hour was 10 in the morning. Rewrite the statement beginning with it. It was 10 o'clock in the morning. Explain the meaning of the following words as used in the excerpt. Gawked. To look at something or someone in a stupid and rude way. Fascinated. extremely interesting, extremely interested, hypnotized, and mesmerized by something or someone. Conscious, awake, aware of what is happening around you, and able to think. Question 3.